Well, Botswana and Namibia had established diplomatic relations already at the advent of the country's independence in 1990. Not only do the two countries share a common border, but they also share common people and heritage. Now, recently, in an historical agreement, the two countries decided to ditch the passports for travel between the two countries, where you can just use an ID, a national ID, to be able to access or go across the border into the other country. Well, joining us now on Diplomatic Communique for today's edition, we are joined by the ambassador to Botswana, Mr. Kapere, to just unpack on those developing bilateral relations and how we can continue deepening our neighborliness. Very good evening to you, Ambassador, and thank you so much for making time out to join us on Diplomatic Communique.
Good evening, Ricardo, and thank you for having me.
Well, Ambassador, before we start off, of course, and get into the economic relations discussion, I think it's important to perhaps reflect on the historical ties between Botswana and Namibia, particularly from a geopolitical perspective, if you can take us back.
Yes, Namibia and Botswana had a long-standing historic relationship. I would start by, even before colonialism, that during the German war, when they were colonizing Namibia, the 1904, 1908, the Nama, Bambanderu, Vaherero people who fled from the genocide actions of Fontrota were received in Botswana and as a friendly country, and they were kept there or housed there. To date, more than 100 years they have been living there in Botswana. Also of importance, I would like to touch on the fact that Chief Hosea Kutako sent to the chiefs or traditional leaders in Botswana a request that she should be assisted with the petitioning of the Namibian case to the United Nations, and that's how Michael Scott was sent, arranged through Botswana, and Reverend Michael Scott used to operate in South Africa, and then he was brought to Namibia here and started the process of petitioning. Later he was joined by Professor Karina and the founding father then, Comrade Semno Yoma, joined in that petitioning, and both the founding father went out of Namibia through Botswana, as well as the current president and many of the leaders of Namibia went through Botswana. That bring a closer, much closer relationship between Botswana and Namibia, even before the diplomatic arrangement after independence.
In terms of that, do we have any idea of how many people we are talking about, and of course the logistical exercise that's involved in repatriating them back to Namibia?
Currently now, we are talking about not more than 100 households.
But in terms of that repatriation, we know, of course, when the exercise is being done, when there's a refugee crisis, for example, and that has been sorted, and the refugees are returning to their homeland, there are certain requirements that have to be met, to make sure that they're fed for. If they're school children, sometimes you have to provide schooling for them, etc., etc. Is that the same route that we are taking as well, to make sure that the moment they come here, there's a certain level of provision for them for a certain amount of time in order for them to be able to find their feet?
For practical reasons,
yes,
we are not calling this a repatriation process, but a relocation.
Relocation.
Yeah. Yes, meaning that it will be people who volunteer themselves to come back to Namibia because they were born from parents of Namibian descent, And the two governments agreed that they will assist in that process of relocating them.
How far is the process at the moment? Do we maybe perhaps have a estimated time where the actual movement will happen? What's the status at the moment?
It's to estimate times in a diplomatic or political environment is at times dangerous, but I would say not longer than 3 weeks.
From the so it's quite a mature conversation in terms of the process.
Yes. It's quite a mature process, and I think in few weeks' time, the government of Botswana will be able to give an answer to say, okay, we will transport them on this day.
Do we, as part of that relocation, do we already have, is a suitable land identified for them? Is it more farm resettlement, or is it also resettlements in urban areas, city centers, etc.?
The government of the Republic of Namibia prepared to resettle them in an area identified where they would drill some boreholes for water, so that some of these families will be resettled in a communal sort of arrangement. But there are also some, I think, 5 farms bought also to assist in that relocation.
So it's quite an advanced stage there as well. In terms of the geopolitical relations between the two countries, but particularly where people are concerned, we know that there were some tensions, particularly along the borders in the Zambezi region, etc. Of course, of some tragic events that took place not so far back. If we reflect back on that, is that a cause of concern for the relations between Namibia and Botswana, or can we confidently say that, look, conversations are taking place and that was put to bed?
Yes, the conversations have been taking place, and the ministers of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Botswana and the Deputy Prime Minister of Namibia visited the area and explained to people that they are from the same area, they are families in actual fact, and there have been an understanding that they should live together in peace and harmony. There is also an agreement between the two countries that the district of Chobe and the Sabesi Regional Council should sign an agreement to be sister regions. Yeah.
In terms of that, I think before we move on from this and focus on the economics, there had also been just general concern around the heavy-handedness of the Botswana Defence Force when it comes to dealing with sometimes skirmishes and whatever not that any neighbors might have with each other. Was that also addressed as part of this conversation when you were dealing with this issue?
This issue was discussed from quite through all the levels. From the heads of states to the level of the courts of law, to the level of the communities, as I said, and I believe that this issue has been addressed adequately.
Well, Comrade Ambassador, allow me to quickly go for a short break as we continue with the program. You're watching Diplomatic Communique. When we come back, we discuss the economic relations between the two countries. Of course, some historical agreements being signed with the movement of people and also business. Stay with us. This is Diplomatic Communique. Welcome back to Diplomatic Communique. And of course, tonight we're focusing on our neighbor, as you say, the good neighbors, Botswana. We're joined by the ambassador to Botswana, Kapere, to just unpack the relations between the two countries. Before we went for the break, Ambassador, we were, of course, looking a little bit more on the geopolitical relations between the two countries, but we've been making so much headway in as far as the economic cooperation and trade facilitation between the two countries are concerned. And before we get to anything, I just want to get to the exciting one of course, that historic agreement that was signed between the two countries for that free movement of people without having to use passports. I think that really opens up massive opportunities for economic cooperation between the two countries. Why was this such a milestone in our relations?
Ricardo, of course, that was a milestone. First of all, I should admit that it was the first kind of arrangement in the Southern Africa, if not in Africa. So it's quite a milestone, and it will have impact on the people living close to the borders, families who could now easily.
Because they're interdependent. I mean,
Yes,
some people move on a daily basis between the borders.
Yes, and also, as you know, that we have what they call, the Namibians call them Dagi Botswana, that they are going from here to Botswana to buy cars and come and sell here. Some will go to buy garments and come and sell here. And also when we talk about the trips or from Botswana during the holiday of Christmas, that they are moving in big numbers to go and visit the sea. Those are now good economic and integration between the two countries.
In terms of that economic integration between the two countries, I think one of the other big one, which is, of course, a huge benefit also for Botswana and in good neighborliness, is the agreement where we're looking at them establishing a dry port, making use of our facilities, and of course accessing the shipping lines that is provided by the Atlantic Ocean. Briefly reflect on the importance of that agreement and, of course, what this means for the economic benefit that Namibia might get from there.
Yes, the dry port, when it's seen in the light that the Trans-Kalahari corridor,
yes,
which starts from Walvis Bay through to Botswana, in that for economic reasons, that dry port could be used by the Republic of Botswana for import of whatever they would like to have through the dry port or through Walvis Bay Harbour to the dry port, and then up through the Trans-Kalahari Highway. And it is in actual fact a very good achievement. Close to that one, or similar to that one, is the planned planned construction of Trans-Kalahari Railway, which is still under planning, but the office already still exists in Windhoek at Trans-Namib, both sort of taken care of by both staff members from the Republic of Botswana and the Republic of Namibia.
And in terms of the work, of course, if you look at it, there's also a lot of informal trading that also happens between the two countries as well. How do we foster the relations, particularly for small and medium enterprises, to start identifying opportunities in business that they can do with Botswana?
When it comes to small businesses, one should say it's not regulated, but it's taking place, as I said previously, that the Namibian people are going over there to buy cars and to come sometimes sell here or to use as taxis. And on the other hand, Botswana people are coming here for tourism, to visit Namibia during the holidays, and some of the exchanges of selling garments to one another. In particular, if we look at the fact that some of the yearly traditional activities taking place, the Banderos, the Hereros, the Namas are having activities here which the people from Botswana are attending, and vice versa. And the churches which are linked to both Botswana and Namibia, and they are interlinked. So quite an activity going there without really being regulated.
Well, of course, we're going to go for a quick break. When we come back, we continue with more here on Diplomatic Communique. So speaking to Mr. Asad Kapere, the ambassador from Namibia to Botswana. Stay with us. Welcome back to Diplomatic Communique, your favorite program that looks into the foreign affairs, the business of our foreign missions in the rest of the world. Tonight we're reflecting on Botswana, and we're joined by Ambassador Asad Kapere to do just that. Of course, we spoke extensively about our geopolitical collaboration, economic opportunities that are of course also out there. But I just wanted us to, before we close off the program, see what are some of the low-hanging fruits perhaps from economic opportunities or business for Namibian business people that they can look out for in Botswana.
I would, Ricardo, I would state that that is probably the most difficult question for tonight. However, the transport is one of the businesses being used for both. You will find trucks from Botswana here and vice versa. Another one is the trading of livestock, particular cattle. When Botswana is short of some beef, they arrange with Namibia and vice versa. And of course, I will not let out the business in Namibian beer. Namibian lager is very liked in Namibia. Currently now, because we had exhibitions where we exhibited product from Namibia like soft drinks and some meat stuff, sausages and stuff, and I started seeing them in the market, on the shelves, like in Spar and some of those shops. Another sort of action which is taking place unseen is that we have a company in Botswana called Shoppies, which is having quite chain shops, but they are now started putting their shops also opening up in Namibia. They have at the coast, in the north in particular. I believe they have also a branch in Windhoek there, in Kommersdal. So that's some of the areas where we are cooperating.
In terms of this, talking about cooperation, I think generally we've seen there's a feeling that we're moving away from multilateralism as we know it, and moving more toward unilateralism. We see the establishment of BRICS that was set up to sort of counteract the imbalance of power that many countries are feeling with the United Nations, etc. Just as a closing remark, what is your philosophical posturing, or perhaps just outlook on where diplomacy is moving to right now globally? How do we make sure that we bring us together rather than separating us as global citizens?
I wouldn't concentrate on the BRICS and whatever, because I am not accredited to them. However, what I would touch on is that Namibia is a friend to all and an enemy to none. As our president always stressing.
Ambassador, thank you so much for making time out to join us on Diplomatic Communique.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
That is, of course, Ambassador Asser Kapere, our ambassador to Botswana, giving us some insights with regards to the bilateral relations between the two countries. And that marks the end of Diplomatic Communique for tonight's edition. Ricardo Until we meet again next time, same place. Bye-bye.